I'll fly, and I'll fly into the end of the sky. So I'll be the one who doesn't have to say goodbye.
Hello guys, I'm live reaction of this My Little Pony dark fic reading called Stable 17. It is 12 minutes and 50 seconds long. Well, with this video, is it going to be a stable reading?
Seriously?
Sorry, Apple Bloom. Really sorry. Well, Stable 17. It sounds like a mental institution to me. Yeah. Well, there's only one way to find out, is to play it, react to it, and give my take on Stable 17. 3, 2, 1, go. One take, wow. Yeah, okay. Go. Strange piano music, wow.
They were the stories that charmed generations. From G1 all the way back in 1983,
Yeah.
through to Friendship is Magic, generations of children and adults have grown up with
That's
My
about
Little
20
Pony
years of history.
and have come to love its cheerful and brightly colored cast of characters.
Yeah.
But the truth about My Little Pony is no children's story. Indeed, the truth is horrifying.
And
I
sickening.
know this because I was there. My name is Cheryl Lee Armstrong, but most just call me Cheerilee.
You're chilly.
I come from a small place called Ponyville in Maine. For a long time, it was the
Maine,
most
that's
unassuming
America.
of American towns, destined to be forgotten forever. But that was soon to change forever.
That's the main
Let's jump right
event.
back to 1971. Watergate is yet to break, Nixon is president, and Vietnam is still raging on the other side of the world.
That's 70s.
However, Ponyville is relatively untroubled by these
1970s,
things,
that's
but it's still crucial in world affairs.
That's
Due
Vietnam,
to its
isn't it?
secluded location, the government often used it as a place for housing scientists defecting from the Eastern Bloc. That's how the professor came to be here.
Professor?
Yaroslav Spyakla. He was born in 1929 in Leningrad. During the Khrushchev years, he was a key scientific advisor in the government. It was clear even then that he was working on something dodgy. The Kremlin tasked him with cracking the genetic code, and that he fled because what the communists had
code of
planned
ponies
scared him.
or EG.
However, I have no doubt he did it only to save his own skin. Truth is, Brezhnev found his work hard to
Is
stomach,
that Chile?
as it seemed like
why
he
is
was
she in the
messing with the
library?
natural order. It transpires early research was done in the mental hospital network, and that this was displayed as part of a cover.
Mountain
Anyway,
Simon, I
in
said!
1971, Spyakla and his son
sorry.
Andreev, born 4 years earlier, fled to America.
Where did
The government put them here. Whilst here, Andreev anglicized
Wow.
his name, becoming Andrew
Man.
Sparkle. It made some
Andrew
people laugh,
Sparkle?
but trust me,
In
there
any
was no denying
relationships?
this man was smart.
Ow.
In 1985, he went to Yale studying biology and chemistry. It was here that he became most famous, as he proposed a revolutionary new idea regarding genetic research.
Or ponies.
He dubbed it anthrofusion, in reference to a similar idea which had been field tested on an island off the coast of Britain. He never stated exactly what the process was, but he lacked the resources to implement it in any way.
Yeah.
Returning to
Don't come to
Ponyville,
Britain,
he
please.
found a research center along with his father, and several
It looks.
expat
Right,
scientists
I'm
came to
looking at the
join him.
the picture.
That's how I met Yuri
Someone is
Golovich.
taking a picture.
I worked on an adjoining
with
farm
a
and the
mobile
center
phone. It
rapidly
looks like
specialized
it's
in
under
medical
the fucking
technology and
skirt.
horses. Working together, the discoveries made there changed farming as we know
Yeah,
it.
in the picture. In the
But this
picture.
isn't the most significant part of our tale. One of the local women, Tara Wellesley, worked at the center when she and Andrew fell in love. It surprised
Ship.
nobody when they announced their wedding, or when their child was born. Twyla Sparkle was born in 1994. She was a bubbly,
whoa.
energetic, popular girl locally who
1994.
loved horses. In a town like ours, who wouldn't?
Oh,
I often
Twilight
saw her
is.
down at the paddock watching them,
is
there
fine.
with her vintage camera. She would always greet me in the same way.
Good morning, Cheerilee.
Good morning.
Sadly, our work had drawn the attention of bigger companies. A large research firm dispatched one of its advisors to assist the company. Her name was Celestia, and she was one of the rudest women I had ever met. When we first met, all she said
She
to me
looks
was
bloody
to...
bald there.
Get off my fucking pack.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Things became unnecessarily bureaucratic.
Language,
New language
Celestia!
regimes were introduced. It was an absolute mess. She seemed happy to drive us out of business via poor performance. That is, until a tragic accident in 2004 changed everything forever.
What happened in 2004?
Twyla was often found at the paddock, but she didn't pay attention to any warning signs either. That would prove her undoing.
Is that...
She got too close to one of the horses and spooked it, causing it to rear up and trample her.
The
it
portal!
It was not a pretty sight, I'm sorry to say.
Is it the portal?
A vague mess of blood and flesh to indicate where a girl had once been. Andrew was devastated at his daughter's death, and had what was left moved to one of the stables he had converted into a research room. He and his father locked themselves in there for a whole year. People were asking what on earth was going on in there, but neither of them would answer. No secrets came forth from stable 17.
If she was lying in bed, she'd be stable.
A whole year later, the doors were opened as part of a public open day, when I saw what they had done.
Whoa.
This thing they had created.
Oh, what?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing at first. A unicorn? Is this really what they had been working on the whole time? But then it turned its head, looked at me, and said,
"Good morning, Shirley."
Again?
I'd seen enough. I ran around the side of the stable and vomited. People were horrified at the sight.
Your magical
but Twyla,
research
or
with
Twilight
unicorns,
as she was called now, just seemed totally oblivious. It was now very obvious what
and that's
Andrew
quite
and
an
his
old
dad
Twilight
had
there.
done. Yuri filled me in on the details later. They had reprogrammed Twyla's body and DNA, remolding it into the form of the ponies she loved so dearly. Apparently they had chosen a unicorn because that was her favorite mythical creature. This had raised her from the dead, but people wanted to know our opinions on it.
Where'd she
I appeared on national TV
Unicornia?
stations at times, such as PBS and CBS. It rapidly became clear that Twilight would not be put to work on the farm. It was too unpredictable, and they had no idea what her new body was capable of. As a result, they built a new town nearby at Pony scale, and dubbed it Ponyville. It was also clear that there would be no further anthrofusion operations. That is, until Celestia took over the company in not entirely legal ways. The whole facility was rebuilt to allow these operations to proceed en masse,
behind this as well.
and it wasn't long before we had an entire town of ponies of 3 species. Unicorns like Twilight, Earth ponies, which were closest to conventional horses, and Pegasi, who could fly.
What about
the first one we
Alicorn?
comprehensively tested was Rarity. She had been a dressmaker who had come on hard times before the operation, and agreed to live here in return for having her needs covered. We wanted to see how truly good she was, so we gave her a sewing machine and set her to work. She rapidly tired herself out, indicating that we had to find an alternative. We kept surveillance footage on all of these incidents, and her desperation to complete the job rapidly caused her dialogue to dissolve into gibberish. As a result, we stopped the test.
You stopped the
more
test,
and more people came to see them as they wanted to see the ponies going about their everyday lives. The workload increased, and that led to accidents. The first to have problems
and Ponyville was a one big fucking experiment now.
And as part of a documentary, she was asked to demonstrate apple bucking. While this was seen in that television series they ultimately made, it didn't happen like this.
I think she knows a bit more about
the screenshot
apple
was taken
fucking
a
as
moment
well.
before the incident in question. Her legs buckled and were thrown out of their sockets, leaving the poor mare howling in pain.
That's from the intro,
She did survive, but we had to be very careful from then on.
Yeah.
We had another
freaking bell!
She asked to be a Pegasus, and so we granted her wish.
Hello,
but we didn't want to risk an accident due to her eyesight, so we grounded her.
In my ear.
It was a truly tragic accident, which changed things. There were a number of school-age kids who had been converted into ponies, such as this kid. Diamond Tiara, her name was, daughter of one of the company donors, and possibly the most annoying sucker brat I've ever met.
Is that what I'm hearing?
We had her at work one day running the student newspaper alongside some of the others. That's when things got out of hand.
That's quite recent, actually.
We don't know exactly how it happened, but she got hurled across the room and through the printing press straight into the ink storage tank. We fished her out eventually, but by then it was too late.
That scene.
She had drowned.
She's what?
I even felt sorry for the poor thing, I have to say. Celestia responded by removing any potential sources of problems. At the same time, we worked meticulously to ensure none of this got out. Nobody had any clue that this was happening, and as a result, we started selling the technology overseas. Many other nations had no proper safeguards, however, which led to a lot of deaths.
You sold it overseas?
And one question sat at the back of our minds.
Who did you sell it to?
Why did Twilight work perfectly when the others did not?
Because she's a princess!
And chose to end it all. Effective slavery. Andrew simply resigned from the company in disgust. Of course, Celestia had us covered that up as well. It took us ages,
it's slave labor,
but the world would finally know the truth after a very public accident in 2009. Her name was Rainbow Dash, incredible
Hello, Rainbow
athlete,
Dash.
And she wanted to be able to fly. We were terrified of letting her go up into the air, but Celestia told us to let her. We fitted cameras in the area to keep an eye on her, and all seemed fine at first.
Until she broke her wing.
Then she suddenly went into a dive. It was here it all went wrong. Her wings came flying off, snapping like twigs.
What the
end result was not pretty. In the crash, she struck the control building, which left a lot of people
Rainbow
injured.
crash into the ground!
Celestia refused to let us call an ambulance to help them, as it would expose what was going on here. So Ditzy got the honor of airlifting them there instead. Doesn't take a genius to figure out that didn't work either. Due to her flight patterns being so erratic, she crashed into another building.
Just stop the whole
There was
experiment
no covering it up now. It was obvious what had happened. Celestia ordered the remains of the dead ponies to be burned, and got Fluttershy and myself to do it.
You better what?
Fluttershy was another Pegasus, and hauled the cart
Fluttershy
with Ditz to the
assisted to murder!
incinerator.
Oh my god.
One night
really?
we got lost, and ended up at Stable 17. I unlocked it, and in Fluttershy went, only to bolt a moment later. I didn't look in, but Fluttershy had seen enough. She confronted Celestia in a shouting match that went on for hours. She eventually left for the Golden Oak Library, where Twilight lived. She warned her to stay away from Stable 17. In doing so, she signed both their death warrants.
Yeah.
The next day, Celestia sent Fluttershy into the Everfree Forest, a dangerous place.
Very dangerous place.
There she suffered an accident.
What?
It wasn't an accident, of course. Somebody had stretched a bungee cord over the path, which would have been almost impossible to see at night.
What?
Naturally, that vanished when we got there. Celestia told Fluttershy she was sending her to the hospital. Nope. They sold her to an abattoir. I wonder who got the result, not realizing they were eating what was left of a beloved children's character. Twilight learned of what had happened and realized that they had got rid of Fluttershy because of what she had seen. So in the pouring rain, she set off for Stable 17. When she got there, it was deserted, but the truth was there for all to see.
Yeah.
The reason Twilight had worked and all the others did not was because she wasn't the first, nor the second,
or the last,
or even the fifth. The two doctors had cloned her over and over again in order to perfect the process. The remains were dumped in that stable,
it's a Twilight
which was
clone.
why it was off limits. Twilight didn't take it very well. The next morning we found her swinging from a rope. She had no idea she was a clone. None of us did.
Wow, the clone
we were just
quitted
glad she was alive
suicide.
again. We guessed that the village would bring in some extra revenue and
That's
these
dark.
ponies could help us.
Well, it is a
To
bit...
each other, they were best of friends until the end of time. To us, however,
where is the original
they were
Twilight
just
then?
My Little Ponies.
Roll credits! Okay. Okay, that was Stable 17. Is that how many clones they made? 17 clones? Or was it more Twilight clones? Well, that was, I should say, messed up, illegal, and should be sent to fucking prison. Or worse, shot in your head. Gosh, that is even dark. Okay, that was a good reading. It seems that Question Universe were first, then they experimented to turn it into ponies, not the other way round. The same thing with Chili. She was working in the library. Yeah, it is. It's a kind of a grimdark. Very grim indeed. I should say, technically it is a grimdark. Oh, I'm sorry what I said about... No, yeah, what? Look, that it just looks so wrong when you saw the phone under. Yeah. Just look at the picture. Just look at the picture. And yeah, I'm trying to type with the hands. I'm trying to type with your just yeah. I didn't expect Celestia to swear. I don't know if she's don't know if she's like that in real life. I thought that was a good reading, and how dare you kill Fluttershy again? But anyway, it's just a story. Well, I hope you like this reaction, and all my reaction videos I do, and I will see you next time. Oh, yes.
And I'll fly.